Sports stories from the 419 in Northwest Ohio, brought to you by a voice you know. It's time to go around the area and around the Hearn.
Hello there, hi there. Welcome to the first Around the Hearn in quite a while. The world, well, has just kept me from doing the show for a while, but two great guests today. And in just a bit, you'll hear from Fort Loramie volleyball coach John Rodgers. He'll talk a lot about the game coming up with the Fort Loramie girls taking on Russia. That actually ended last night, and it was a 3-0 win for Fort Loramie, waiting now for a perennial state championship contender New Bremen on Saturday at 2 p.m. at Clayton Northmont, and that will be a good one. We'll talk a little bit about New Bremen as well, kind of a preview and a back and forth. Bremen beat Jackson Center in 3 sets on Wednesday, one of the volleyball things going on in the area. The others happen tonight. As I tape this, it is early Thursday morning. Coldwater takes on Fairview. That's at Lake High School later tonight, and Versailles gets Cardington Lincoln tonight at Fairmont. The local teams in the area, Liberty Benton, still alive as well, as they have been on a tear. But it's cross country that we're going to focus on in just a few minutes. Holly Flueckiger, the head coach of Ottawa Glandorf, who for the first time in school history will have both the entire boys and girls programs at the state tournament. And that is this weekend, and it may play a little bit of effect on the Ottawa Glandorf girls regional final on Saturday. It's supposed to be at noon against Woodmore. That's up in Tiffin. And a game you can hear on WZOQ radio as part of a doubleheader with the Ottaville boys, who were victorious over Mansfield Christian last night, 1-0. And are going to play Ottawa Hills at 3 o'clock in that same venue at Frost Cowell Stadium. But it may be a 7 o'clock start for the Lady Titans. There's apparently talk about that with the young ladies and the young men running down in Columbus and trying to get as many people down there to support them as humanly possible, and then getting up to Tiffin to support the girls on their run to hopefully the state Final Four and beyond. Boys soccer last night as well in Lima. Shawnee picked up a 2-1 win over Lexington. And they'll play on Saturday against Richfield Revere, who defeated Bowling Green, who had a chance to play on their home field in a regional finals. But it'll be at Bowling Green, a terrific stadium. It should be good weather, I believe. I haven't looked at it. I hope that folks go and pack that one as well as the final right before it. It's going to be back-to-back Western Buckeye League games. St. Mary's girls soccer won on that field against Maumee the other night. They'll play Copley in the regional finals on Saturday at 1 o'clock. So go on, get up there, hit the highway, root on the Western Buckeye League. That's what you need to do. High school football this weekend, hitting the second round of the playoffs. And we are blessed to have quite a few teams from Northwest Ohio in this region and in these playoffs. Minster, they'll hit the buses and travel south to take on Mechanicsburg. Fort Loramie will host Southeastern. New Bremen will go to DeGraff to take on Riverside. Waynesfield Goshen will play host to Gibsonburg. The Holy War, it's the football gridiron version with LCC and Delphos St. John's. Pandora Gilboa and Macomb on a game you can hear on zsportslive.com. Delphos Jefferson and Antwerp. I'm sure that's on the radio station in Delphos, 107.1. Versailles and Twin Valley South. Allen East getting the other Bearcats, not the Spencerville Bearcats, but for the second time, they'll have a Bearcat moniker as an opponent in Paint Valley. They're out of Bainbridge. West Liberty Salem will be the sacrificial lamb, probably for Marion Local. Coldwater gets Huron. It seems that they're 4-0 all time against, but haven't played since 2014. Braylon Harlemer continues to be the quarterback. Marcel Blassingame, who had an injury a couple of weeks ago and is expected to be back ahead of maybe the time he was quoted if the Cavaliers are continuing to play in the playoffs, is off his crutches. Van Wert tries to showcase their high-octane offense against Sandusky Perkins and potentially get a WBL rematch in the next round. That will result, though, in a St. Mary's win having to happen at West Holmes. Game you can hear at 6:30 the pregame. 7 o'clock with a kickoff on K94. Bellbrook, a couple of years removed from hosting St. Mary's, travels to Harmon Field and the beautiful new press box they've got there at Wapakoneta. And Defiance making one of the longest trips back-to-back of any team in the state of Ohio travels to Mansfield to take on the TY Tigers. Longest trips, Defiance obviously around 2.5 hours to Mansfield on a bus. Van Wert just under that, 125 miles to Sandusky to take on Perkins. St. Mary's about 150 miles to West Holmes out there in the heart of Amish country. And Huron and Coldwater about 160 miles or 2.5 hours. Again, all of those a little bit longer on a bus. Speaking of cross country, though, wanted to get to this. This is a great list. I'm so happy to see how many of the young men and women are in this program for this weekend. The Bath Boys, featuring just one senior, are traveling to Columbus and running the course down there in Division II as a team. Colin Binding, the freshman from Salina. Ottawa Glandorf's boys, who you hear from Coach Flew coming up here in just a few. First time in program history. Got the fire trucks, and it has been a weekend of fire trucks and toilet papering in Putnam County. Drew Loddick from Van Wert, all in Division II. Division III on the boys' side, John Young from Anna. The Bluffton, Botkins, Lincoln View, and Marion local boys. Entire groups as teams. Adam Ballas from Fort Loramie, Trevor Heitkamp from Fort Recovery, Lanny Oakman from Spencerville, and Joe Parker from Upper Saddle Valley. Round out Division III on the boys' side. Division II is Jenna Lee Dameron and Kaylee Dameron, the three-time WBL champion from Salina, who will make the trip in Division II along with the Shawnee and Ottawa Glandorf girls teams. D3, Minster, Fort Recovery, and Fort Loramie, all setting their entire teams, along with Brendan Moody of Lincoln View and Meredith Bargy from Versailles. That is a look at some things going on, and maybe the coolest thing of all the cool things that are happening this weekend. Tyson Elwer from Shawnee tonight, again Thursday night as I tape this, is going to play for St. Francis in Fort Wayne at Assembly Hall in Indiana. So you get to play the Hoosiers. That's awesome. So a big shout out to him for what he's doing. Conference Awards is starting to come out hopefully next week. Have some more interviews and a look at kind of everything going on that way. But when we come back, we'll talk to Coach Flew about cross country. And we'll talk to Coach Rodgers about volleyball. All of that is on the way here on Around the Hearn.
Lee Kinsel Sales and Service, 650 West Urban Road. New Chevys, Buicks, GMCs, and all your pre-owned vehicles. We've got an award-winning service department and an award-winning parts department. What a great team. 866 Lee Kinsel, LeeKinsel.com, 650 West Urban Road, Van Wert, Ohio. Come see us and you'll leave happy. There's nothing like a Kinsel deal. We've been in business for over 50 years and looking forward to the next 50. 650 West Urban Road, Lee Kinsel Sales and Service. Come on over, Lima Land.
Tony's on Main Street in Ottawa, home of the Titan Burger, and if you're really hungry, the Cow Tipper. Tony's grounds their hamburger meat each day. Each patty is fresh and never frozen and not cooked until you order it. Don't forget to add some of the great sides like French fries, pickle fries, and their great breaded mushrooms. While you're there, you can't forget to get some of their great ice cream treats, and frozen yogurt. Tony's on Main Street in Ottawa, making burger history since 1962.
Talking cross country now is a first time in school history that the Ottawa Glandorf Titans have both the men and the women's programs headed to the state, and the head coach and Holly Flueckiger. You've got to just be continually over the moon since last weekend.
I am. I think I'm still in shock. I am so excited for my runners and how hard they've worked, and they have earned it. And hopefully everybody has been following our cross country trail, and we just kept getting better and better and more focused as the season went on. And I'm just excited, elated.
You go from being kind of a perennial up toward the top of the WBL program rankings, but then it kind of is tapered off over the years. You guys win the district titles for the first time. I think that means you have to win a regional title for the first time to get to state. But, I mean, what a weekend, though, in Ottawa and Glandorf between the fire trucks were just going through there nonstop.
I know how many weeks in a row we had them. We first started with our blue and gold invitational, and both teams took that. And then I knew it was looking good for WBL, but anything can happen in cross country. And we were able to do that. And then districts, they just looked so good. I mean, so thrilled. And we were hoping for a little bit better at regionals, but heck, we're happy. We're glad we're moving out, and I couldn't be prouder of them. So,
and when you look at that, you go through that district race, and it's not an easy course from what I understand at the district level.
Well, at Columbus Grove, it's pretty flat, but it's more of definitely a mental challenge. It's a different level of runners. And so I worry about some of my younger runners, my freshmen, but they stepped up to the challenge because they tend to go out so much faster, and there's just so much pressure, and they knew what they needed to do, but man, did they take it like champs. They really took it in stride. They knew what they had to do. They were focused. We told them constantly, you have to run your race. You cannot run other people's race. Otherwise, you will lose your confidence, and you'll start to slow down, and you'll lose your mental focus. So it's all about positivity and confidence. At this point, I said your training has brought you here. So you just need to use what you've learned and run your race. That's our big push.
Must be the regionals I was thinking of at Tiffin. Is that the easy
Tiffin
course? That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, Tiffin is the hard course. Couple hills, but we have prepared for that. We have mentally prepared for a lot of different things throughout the season, and I was not worried. And we ran the course. I even took them since we don't do scrimmages really. Mr. McLaughlin, he's been great, and he let us go run the course during the second week of August. We went and we ran the course, and it was fun. And it was more of a team bonding little bit of thing that we did, and we ate out, and it's just getting that team to feel confidence. And the more you see that course, the better it is. And then we went for the carnival, and they just felt good about it. Other years that we've gone, I didn't feel that confidence coming from them, but I could feel it. I could tell they were confident. And I was like, well, we're going to do good things out there. I'm not worried. I'm not going to preach at you at this point because you have done the training. You just need to trust your training and focus.
How hard of a thing is that to explain to high school kids at times of, I'm going to stop yelling at you, but you need to have that sort of inner me yelling at you to keep yourself going?
Yeah, well, and that's another thing. They always know we are always at the same spots. I have Matt Kelly as my assistant coach and James Rader, and we have our spots, and they listen for us. They know what we're going to tell them. They know, and that really gives them that boost, fixing their form, or, okay, you're starting to look like a dinosaur when you're running. Oh, you're hopping up I'm like, air, you're in there. It's just little things along the way. They know that we're going to be out there with them. And so they just get more comfortable, and it's just like practice. They're hearing us, and I don't know, it's just the confidence from that, knowing that we're out there, we're pulling for them, we're helping them along the way is really important.
It's crazy to read things that you were kind of telling me beforehand. We have a mutual friend of Mark Altstetter who does a terrific job with the Live News.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the things that he interviewed Alexa Fortman after the district race, and she said, I really didn't run my best race at WBLs, and she lost to the young lady from Salina.
Mm-hmm.
But the next time, her quote is, I really didn't run my race. I was focused on getting my race and getting through. It's kind of funny how maybe you guys spend too much time together that it's almost word for word the same verbiage.
Oh, I know. But she listens, and I kept telling her that because throughout the last couple of years, I noticed that she would try to run somebody else's race, and they would push her, and then it would mentally mess with her mind. And then, I think she would doubt herself. And I'm like, you have to run your race and have confidence in what you are doing. And I kept telling her that you have to run the smart first mile. And second mile should come fine. And then that third mile, you will have it in you. But if you do not, if you're following somebody else that first mile and you're letting them push you, then you've already lost your focus and how you usually run. Because she's got that track in her at the end. She can pull that out like no other. And I'm like, you have to trust yourself and how you run. And so we constantly are feeding her that. And I know her parents are feeding her that. And you have trained hard for this. You know how you run. You can't let somebody else control how you're running. And you can't let somebody else, get you, control your speed. That is so important. Because she had tried a lot of different things. And And sometimes I said, people will play games with you because they know what happens to you when you go out too fast or when you do this. And I said, then they know that they can get you in the end. I said, so you got to run your own race. So yeah, she listens. She's been listening.
Anytime that she runs, it seems like lately she's been breaking her own record or some school record or somebody else's record. When you guys write those down afterwards, you just write them in pencil?
Do I write them in pencil?
That way,
yeah.
That way you don't have to, write over ink every time.
Oh yeah, exactly. Well, we haven't even given them to the athletic director. Otherwise, he'd want to print it out. Nope. She's not done yet. I know she's not. She's just got so much focus. She's got so much more in her even. She looked so good at regionals. And it made me nervous a little because she ran cross country and did soccer last year. And this year she focused solely on cross country. And wow, that has really helped her with her running, her pace. Like she is like a metronome. When we have her run pacing, man, she knows exactly where she's at. She knows exactly where she needs to be. So on interval days and tempo days, she is so like a metronome. She knows exactly where her body is. And nutrition and sleep, and she's got it all figured out.
I know there's kind of a crazy thing. You brought up soccer with her having to give that up, and I know having talked to her mom that was a big thing of not being able to play this year. But on the other side of it, with how supportive that obviously Michelle, the soccer coaches, have to be with having Maddie Hovest. I mean, and she had a heck of a race in the districts, and kind of that oddity of, all right, going to do one in the morning and then maybe having the other in the afternoon or at night. I can't imagine what kind of stamina that has to be for these kids.
Oh, I know. And normally Madeline doesn't falter. She's been running since she's been, I don't know, out of a toddler. I don't know. Her grandparents, she's got a long history of family members that have run. Her grandma and grandpa still run. And her dad runs, and she's always, I remember when he sent me her first half marathon picture, I'm like, oh my gosh, she did so awesome. Like she just is mentally a tough runner. And like, I feel like some runners run 3 miles and then they run 5 miles after. And I feel like, oh, it's just a warm up for soccer. So that's how I think she takes it. She's like, I'm going to do this. I have this job to do, and then I'm going to go on to the next one. But she ran so well. I know she was a little disappointed. She wanted that 16th place, but I'm like, man, it was a tougher pack this time. I feel like it was a tougher race. I said, you still looked awesome. You still ran a great race. I'm like, don't be so hard on yourself. And we're all going. So you have to keep giving them those little nuggets of confidence and positivity.
I know I'm always amazed when someone tells me, oh, she ran this morning, and then I watch her kick a ball, and it's 3/4 of the way down the field. I'm like, she doesn't seem like she's tired at all. No,
I know. I think more mentally than physically because her body's ready for it. Like I said, she's been running forever. And plus we have a new weight guy, Ryan Leopold. I don't know if you know him. And I was right on that. I'm like, we need to be in the weight room. We need to be strengthening to prevent injuries and also to keep our players strong. And that's really helped her too. Like, I just feel like all of the little things that we've put into our runners and mentally and as a team, positivity, that all adds up and that all builds everybody's confidence. And with everybody stepping up to the plate, that just makes everybody more positive. So yeah, it's amazing. And her focus, she's just different kids.
What does it mean
between her and Alexa?
What does it mean on this run to be able to have, obviously, the success of the girls program, and a lot is talked about the runners that you've had the last couple of years, but to be able to take the boys on the same trip. I mean, Ty Rosengarten didn't get his personal best, but he said he felt like the entire team stepped up on a tough course last weekend to be able to get that finish, and they're doing that as one giant unit that pretty much since day one has kind of been on the same mission.
And that's what I told them. You have to make it together. You guys have to build each other up. That's always my focus. And you have to have a good leader to do that. And that's what's been lacking, some of our leadership. And you have to have everybody want to run with each other and want to push for each other. Cooper was under the weather. He had a chest cold, and I think Hunter knew it, and Hunter's like told the next man up. He's like, "You stay with me the whole time." And then the next guy I made some other decisions with, he stayed up there, and they were able to make the ground work because Cooper he couldn't breathe. But they knew they had to step up for each other, and they want to work hard for each other. So that's so important. You have to build that with it. They have to get to know each other. They have to pull for each other. And they're so good at that. And that takes good leadership. And Hunter Steckschulte, he does an amazing job with that. And Ty Buckland, my two seniors, he just does all the little things. And the younger kids are seeing that. They're seeing what they're doing. And then Ty Rosie is at a different level, and they just respect it. And they're like, well, we want to do that too. So, I mean, it's a whole combination of things.
Well, it's not really surprising with those same two young men that you're talking about being leaders, because they've had so much success in other sports, and they've kind of been those same guys who have been relied on to be the old guys and the knowledgeable guys in those sports too. Yes. And so they do. I mean, you have to, but then sometimes who's training you to be a leader? So I think Tyson does a good job with that, training them to be a leader. Sometimes it's not always inbred in them, but you got to give them the opportunity. So some things that we did with our seniors this year, we let them run a practice. Okay, this is kind of what we want you to do. Now it's your turn. And we tried not to say anything. Just things like that to get them to trust each other. They have to trust each other. So, and then we do these Wet or Wild Wednesdays, and I'm like, okay, you get to play on this one. And I mean, they have fun with each other. They start to trust each other and want to win with each other. There's so many little things, but the little things you have to do to get your program where it's at. And even though it does take a lot of time and a lot of things, and sometimes they're probably like, oh, this is so dumb, why are we doing this? But they don't see necessarily what it's doing, but we see it. You know what I mean? It's crazy to me when I look at the championships coming up this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Does it make a difference at a place like Fortress Obetz and at Memorial Park where you're running in the afternoon as opposed to in the morning?
Yeah, I was really worried about that. But we've been running around 1 lately, so they're kind of more acclimated to it. But we are really, okay, now make sure you know what you're going to eat and when you're going to eat, and kind of practice with that. I've been getting them up and making sure they're not sleeping in, because that also can be detrimental to their running game. And there's just, again, a lot of little tweaking things that you have to make when you're running late like that. And then you're in a bus, and just making sure they're following their routines that they've been following so that they don't get in their heads. And then like the temperature, I think it's supposed to be really warm on Saturday. So that's a whole nother factor. Alexa likes running in the heat, so that's awesome. But some of the boys, I'm going to have to really have them thinking about that, make sure they're hydrating. So there's a lot of things that you have to really think about. The time change, and then the temperature. The temperature is going to be a factor.
What part of you thought in August that you would be talking about almost August weather running in the state championships in November?
Yeah, well, I mean, I totally wanted them to make it, and I knew that was a goal that they should set for themselves, because they do work hard. But to think that we're here right now, I'm just so proud of them. But just the progression of it, and just the progression of the hard work and the more work that they've been putting in, and the focus has been awesome. But the temperature, holy cow, I figured it would be raining and sleeting and cold and windy. And nope, it's not. The last couple of races have been warm. So that's so tough, especially when during the week it's cold and then you have a warm race. So like at the WBL, it was cold during the week, and then, or was it, I can't remember how that went, or if it was colder during the race and warmer during the week. I can't remember, but the kids were like, oh my gosh, I couldn't breathe. It was so cold. I think it was colder. And I'm like, oh no. But then the next week it was warm. So that's crazy. I mean, you have to be prepared for everything.
I've got to believe that on each one of your teams with 7 runners, having 2 seniors on each team, that bodes very brightly for the program. I mean, you have the freshmen for the boys, the sophomores and the juniors for the girls, that it's not just, all right, we're going down this time around with Olivia and Alexa for the girls of this is for this time, but it's also, this is going to be something that we want to do and something we want to get back to.
I know, and we're really trying to build the program. There were a lot. We actually had a girls junior high team for the first time, and they're seeing that success. And at the WBL, they were able to ride on the bus when the fire trucks took us around. And boy, that they just, I mean, they could taste and feel like what was going on and how special this was. They said, this doesn't ever happen. And you're here and you're getting on the bus with us. So, I mean, just to see that, and then it motivates the other girls to want to work harder, like Rose Turnwald. She's a sophomore. She's really stepping it up. She wants to be up there. She wants to be like Olivia and Alexa. And the boys team, Cooper Fisher and Connor Johnson, they see that hunger in Ty Rosie and Hunter and Ty Bunklin and the trust. And so they're going to keep wanting it. That fire is going to be in their belly until they're seniors. And hopefully they can motivate the other kids to get that fire too.
I've asked every coach that has done this the same question. It always just makes me laugh, the variance of responses. But coming through town with all of the county fire trucks and obviously more than just Ottawa and Glandorf people rooting you on, that can't ever get old, right?
No, and then different people coming out of their houses and waving and honking, and it's so amazing. Like, they know that, I mean, that's just cool. I can't even explain it. Like, and to see the kids so happy that people are actually paying attention. They're reading the newspaper. They're following us. Cross country, they're following us. I mean, how cool is that? So cool. And then I know a lot of my former students are on the fire department, or they're police officers that drove the cruisers through. And they were like the first ones. I wasn't going to miss it, Miss Flick. And I'm like, oh, how cool is that? They feel a part of it too. They're part of this community, and they do so much for our community. So kudos and hats off to our fire departments and our emergency medical people and our police department. They are amazing to allow us to do that and to bring us in. We really do appreciate them.
Focusing on this weekend, but looking back a little bit, have you had a chance maybe during that ride to kind of look and just say, wow, okay, this is a pretty cool experience so far, but we're going to do bigger things?
Yes. I feel like there's always more work to be done. And I always look at, okay, what did we do? What worked here? But what is the next thing that I can do to continue to keep them wanting to stay with the program and continue to work as hard as they do? Do I need to add different things each year? Do I need to? And every group of kids is different, so not all the training will always work for everyone. So what I have also learned that I really need to pay attention to my individual runners and what they need, and really pay attention to them. And so I'm learning that more as I'm going, and individualized training. And it's okay to do that, and making sure the team knows it's okay, because you need something different than Susie over here. And that's fine. Everybody's different. Everybody runs different. Everybody needs something a little bit different to get them where they're going. And that has been something that I'm going to continue to work on, those individual goals of my runners.
Well, I need quite a bit of individual training, so we'll see how that works out.
Oh, you can do it.
Yeah, I'm going to run out and see if I can get the mail and come back and be okay with it.
Okay, that's awesome. They motivate me to run, let me tell you. I'm like, oh, I got to go get a run. And actually, I do a lot of reflection out there when I'm jogging. And sometimes I just take my bike. But, hey, they motivate me to eat better. They motivate me to be a more positive person. I mean, I'm a better person when I'm around them. So not only am I coaching them, they are also teaching me a lot. So, and I love that. And so are my other coaches. Like, they're young. And so I'm like, oh, okay, I realize I can't do the funny things like they do, because I just sound like a mom. But I mean, we just work together. We just work together well. They're funny, they're goofy, and I'm more like, okay, we got to do this. But they're receptive to all of it. And then when there's injuries, they always come to me, which is awesome, because I'm like, okay, I will help you. We are going to go see Jess. We're going to do this. So we all have our roles, and man, without all three of us, it would be really hard. So, and without the phenomenal runners and their parents that have really helped us out. So I appreciate every part of our little package we have going on here.
Well, clearly it's working, and I hope it results in a lot of gold this weekend.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate talking to you. As always, like the last time, I really enjoyed talking to you, and you bring out the best in me here.
I do what I can.
Oh, well, thank you.
I say some words. Sometimes they work. Sometimes they don't.
Oh, well, they work for me. They work.
That's all you can do. OG running for state championships this weekend, coming back here in just a couple of minutes. Are you looking to relax after today's game with hot chicken wraps, wings, pizza, or cheese fries? Who's ready for a cold beverage or a warming drink? Hawker's Bar and Grill in downtown Columbus Grove is open and ready to serve a late-night dinner or celebrate your team's win with late-night snacks and drinks. Hawker's is located at 209 West Sycamore Street next to the railroad. Be sure to stop in for post-game socializing or give them a call for takeout. You can also find Hawker's on Facebook for the schedule of daily specials and events. The new staff at Hawker's is ready to serve you. Regional volleyball tournament going on now as this is running in a couple of big matchups. The early matchup, you've got New Bremen and Jackson Center. But the late matchup is what we're talking about with Fort Loramie and Russia, with the head coach of the Fort Loramie Redskins and John Rodgers, who was nice enough to spend some time talking about his 20-6 team, taking on 21-5 Russia. Third time's the charm. I mean, you guys have already split. How does that work as a head coach to try? Do you have to explain much?
No, these girls know each other really well. There's no doubt about that. And, these matches between them has become quite a rivalry since Aaron took over down there. He's got a real nice program, and he's really turned them into some good games down there for them. And, our girls, they know each other well. And in my opinion, and it's about who can handle the emotion of the moment, we're both athletic teams. We both can score. We both can do everything needs to be done to win these games. It's just who's going to handle the emotion of the moment, who can go out and get done what they do 1,000 times every week in practice. That's kind of what this match comes down to.
First time around in September, they get you guys 3-2. Second time in October, you get them 3-1. You talk about Aaron Watkins, the head coach at Russia. His quote was, "I'm getting really tired of losing in regionals. This is the year we want to break through." But yeah, he's got you guys and potentially Jackson Center or New Bremen standing in his way.
Yeah, it's no secret. This is quite the region, and it has been for a lot of years. I don't even know the numbers, but it has to be staggeringly state champs coming out of this region is way up there compared to the other three regions in Ohio. At one point, I was thinking. It's like 16 or 17 out of the last 20 probably have come from this region down here. Not that the other ones are weak. It's just the competition that we play here prepares us to handle anything that comes from anywhere else.
Well, it's not really a surprise. I mean, you won't say it, but there are a lot of other people who would say it, that it's not let's go with not necessarily weak, but your region prepares you to more be handling those type of big games.
Yeah. We talk about, what these girls, are able to handle out there and we do it all season, for example, last year we had 7 losses last year. 5 of them played for a state title between St. Henry and New Knoxville. And the other loss was to New Bremen and the other one was to Russia. So, I mean, it's just, you kind of know what you're getting into when you put your schedule together out here. But if you don't do that, you're not going to get where you want to go.
That's kind of one of those fascinating and insane things that you come to terms with probably sometime in the month of December of, well, we played really well. Everybody's playing for a title that beat us, but okay.
Exactly. It's just how, and I think that's one of the most enjoyable parts about coaching out here. As someone who's been in it for a while, I enjoy the competition. I enjoy the big games. I love the big moments. And I think it's just one of those things that it's how dangerously close you are to being 500 and how dangerously close you are to winning a state title every single year. It just kind of just eats at you and it's fun.
Well, and it's not as if, that there are a lot of other teams and a lot of extra wins. Look at what New Bremen and what Coach has done down there in the last 5 years. I mean, that doesn't help of, okay, you guys weren't necessarily on the front burner, and then all of a sudden Diana comes down there and they just become a completely different program, and your nightmare kind of expands a little bit.
Yeah, it's the coaches out here are, second to none as far as their ability to put a team on the floor and in some ways create a program. That's almost as impressive as having one stellar team that comes through and wins it all. But being able to do it over a long span, you talk about Diane, and she's been successful everywhere she's gone and done incredible things. But look at Kim Metz at Jackson Center. I mean, I don't know how many wins she's got. I've lost track. And the recent retire of Greg Snipes at Lehman Catholic. People talk about us winning 15 district titles in a row. Well, guess what? They won over 20 in a row before I got here. So, the coaches that are able to do it over a long period of time and build a program that is competitive every single year is also something that gets a little overlooked out here. They say, oh, it's the same teams year after year. Well, sometimes there's a reason for that. It's because of all the youth coaches and the volunteers that I have that come in and work with our program. We run our own youth program here at Loramie with just Loramie kids. And I had, I believe, 10 or 12 former players of mine coaching them at various age groups in the spring. Half my staff right now played for me. And it's just enjoyable to see that happen. But that's what builds programs.
You just kind of look around and laugh when your coaches start to tell the girls about the old days?
No, sometimes they look at me and roll their eyes and they're like, okay, I know what you're thinking.
Wait a second.
But it does my heart good to see all my former players still having passion for the game. I think is the biggest thing that I enjoy. Even my 7th and 8th grade coaches played for me, and seeing them sometimes seeing them have the same struggles with the team that I did, with them is enjoyable, but just seeing them have passion for the game and still wanting to be involved is great.
Talking volleyball with the Fort Loramie head coach, John Rodgers, who, as you're listening to this, his team is in action right now, taking on Russia at Northmont. It's also got to kind of be funny. I've asked young coaches this, where they are in a system that they are coaching under the coach who they played for, of them getting it to where they'll say something and just stop and go, I said I wasn't going to be that guy. And just look over at you and maybe just kind of chuckle. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that happen for sure. I've seen them get worked up and get nervous, and I'm like, just calm down. It's okay. It's the same stuff that you put me through when you were playing. A lot of times we get lost in the shuffle that we're coaching teenage girls. We're coaching emotional kids. We're coaching young players. Some of them are passionate about the sport. Some of them are there because their friends are there, But regardless of that, we always really work hard to take everybody's emotional situation into consideration, and sometimes that's my coaching staff.
You go through the Coldwater Spike Off. You split the first two, beat New Knoxville, lose to St. Henry. Mm-hmm. Your third matchup, you beat St. Mary's. Okay, you guys probably feeling a little bit good. You go 2 out of 3 on that Saturday, but a couple of days later, walk me through the Minster game, because you're down. You lose the first set 28-26. You lose the second set 26-24, and I know you're probably tired of talking about this, but I was reading about it, and I found it fascinating of what that would have to be through a coach's mind, of the girls walking back into the huddle after the second set, and you kind of trying to point out to them, we're going to get this one. Just let's go.
Well, and I still remember that, because there was a lot of rookies for us on the floor. In that first particular week of the season, when I say rookies, we graduated 18 seniors the past 2 years. That was essentially a brand new crew minus like 3 players. And the learning curve and seeing them, kind of turn the corner there. And we talk about game 3. We always talk about that. And we're like, okay, this is where you're making a break, and either you're going to win the match or you're going to force it into a fourth. And I try to get them to stop looking at the scoreboard and just live in the moment. Just play the next touch for the next touch, and then the next one for the next one for the next one. And I think they started buying into that a little bit. Some of those first couple sets, I think we had the lead in both of those sets by 4, 5, 6 points, and then gave it away at the end. So we started talking about taking deep breaths, relaxing, and just focus on the moment. And they started doing that a little bit, and they relaxed. And then we started to put some things together, and then the old momentum hits, kind of rolls into your favor, and there you go.
Kind of on the backside of that, you have gone 3 sets this year. You guys go 1 and 2. Russia and Bremen, kind of the reverse of that, to where maybe their experience took over with your youth?
Yeah. The first time we played Russia, absolutely, 100%. That was the situation. Young teams playing at a high level, it's hard to keep the foot on that accelerator the entire time. They go, we got them, yeah, and no, you don't. A senior-driven team is going to come back and fight, and so that was a real turning point, regardless of who that would have been. It just happened to be Russia. That was a turning point for some of our younger players. Then we go into playing teams like New Bremen and teams like Marion Local and Versailles and St. Henry again. So it's just they're learning. You got to learn how to just play, 100% all the time. There can be no coasting. It just doesn't happen out here.
Are you a fan of that format? You get a team once. Let's say something fluke happens one way or the other, where you win or lose. That you know that you'll get them again?
Gosh, some years yes, some years no.
Depends on how many of those games you won.
Exactly. And I think in some regards it does the girls good. It gives them a chance to, match themselves up. It gives them a chance to see their growth. Hey, last time I did this against this person. This time I'm doing this against this person. So it gives them a chance to give a little bit of a measuring stick. But at the same time, if we only played through our league one time, we could certainly branch out and play a lot of other schools in a lot of other areas and see a lot of different schools too. So it's kind of a double-edged sword.
Talking to Fort Loramie head coach John Rodgers, you've got obviously a big task in front. Third time around with the Shelby County Athletic League Player of the Year in Kate Sherman. Mm-hmm. First Player of the Year not to come from your program in the last 4 years. That, to me, when I read it, proves, she's breaking records, whatever she does, but it proves to me that she's got to be having one terrific year, because you've got some young ladies that are playing at an extremely high level right now.
Yeah, she has been. There's no doubt about it. She was actually, I believe she was second to my players the past couple of years in the voting, which is, exactly, I thought where it should be. And this year, I thought we had a little competition for her in that voting and in summer hoeing, but, Kate deserves it. There's no doubt about it. She's put up the numbers. She's done the things she needs to do. And I don't think for her it's about numbers. The numbers are nice, this and the record for this. But I think she wants to win some big games. And that's one thing that goes into my voting when it comes to Player of the Year. When you see somebody that's not concerned about the numbers, they want to win some big games.
With her and Maya Monin, do you have to maybe scheme a little differently? And you've got Jillian Chapman as well, mm-hmm. Or is this at a point where you're at a point in the season that you just concentrate on what you do and try to make that work?
Well, we want to be aware of where they're at all the time. What rotation are they in over there? Where, what can we do? What can we take advantage of? What do they give us? What are they not giving us? Have they changed anything? But yeah, sometimes our best game plan is to prepare our team, to have our girls ready to go to execute what they do and force them to stop us, rather than focus on one player from the other team. So it's one of those things where we want to know where she's at. We need to know where she's at. We've got to pay attention to what they're doing, but at the same time, we've got to execute our game plan as well.
I know you've got a title coming in 2014. You've had success. Mm-hmm. You were talking about the district titles and the run that you guys have been on, and obviously into the regionals this year. But how much has being able to share these girls, a lot of the same girls that play basketball, with Carla Siegel, who herself has had, some would say, a monicum of success. Yeah. Does that kind of help out with their ability to, when you walk into these big gyms, walk into these big games, that they're not freaked out even as younger players?
I'm glad you brought that up, because that's something we're so proud of here at Fort Loramie, is the success of all of our female sports and our male sports too. But, I'm a female coach, so, the success of all of the sports, our girls cross country team's on their way to the state finals this weekend. Our girls basketball, obviously with Carla coaching, they are going to be contending this year. And it means a lot. And yes, it does. It does breed success across the board. The girls learn how to win. They learn how to execute, at crunch time. And it definitely plays a big role in what we're trying to do here. Carl and I often talk about, one of the things that we are most proud of between our two programs is we won the state title in 2014, and then they turned around and won it in 2015. And that was a huge chunk of the same girls. The same girls turned around and won the basketball state title. So that's one of the things that I'm most proud of, as far as what's going on here at Fort Loramie. And yes, it breeds, it works together. It definitely, builds on itself.
I'm sure that there are plenty of people who look at a bracket and go, not Loramie again.
Yeah, it's one of those things where we tell the girls, hey, because of that jersey you're wearing, you're going to get your opponent's best game. And you have to be aware of that, and you have to be prepared for that, because, they're going to bring their best game to you, because any little thing they do right is a huge accomplishment for them. And you have to be able to handle that and be able to respond.
I know that you don't look ahead, but when the bracket came out, and if you've had a chance to look at the regional bracket, I'm curious to know, is there a team in any one of the regions or anywhere on the bracket outside of your own district and your own regions that you kind of looked at and said, all right, I kind of figured they were going to be there at this point. They might be there later on if we're able to see them.
Gosh, I looked, but I can't remember. Is Tiffin Calvert still in?
Yes. And they have Crestview.
Yeah, Tiffin Calvert would be one of the ones, I think. Recently, they've been, a powerhouse coming out of the Northwest up there, and they're my prediction to come out over there. I think Newark Catholic probably is going to come out of Central Ohio. Northeastern Ohio, it's a toss-up. They run Northwest teams over to Eastern Ohio. I'm not sure why, but they do. But I would say that, we'll have our, if we win or when we win, however you want to say it, on tomorrow night, then we'll have our scouts out on Saturday, watching some of these teams that we'll be playing. But, like I've told you before, it's about handling the emotion of the moment. And that's really, really big, especially when you get down on that floor in the Nutter Center. The temperature changes, I guess is the best way to put it, the best metaphor to use.
I want to ask you this kind of as a last thing. You're victorious. Again, you're playing right now as this is running. If you're victorious in this ball game against Russia, you get either Jackson Center or Bremen, and then you go on and going all the way through, does it change anything for you as a program that your times keep continuing to get earlier? I mean, you would go 2 p.m. on Saturday, 12 p.m. for the semis, 11 a.m. for the finals.
No, not really. We don't even put any thought process into that,
Well, I didn't know because the girls are so used to playing at, 7 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
If it would throw off, okay, they do this during the day or what have you.
I don't think so. I mean, I don't even think it's something we talk about, but one of the things we would do is we would certainly practice at the time we're going to play the day before. Like let's say we're going to play, we're going to play Thursday. We'll use time to say 2:00 on Thursday. We would probably try and be practicing on a Wednesday at 2:00, to get us in that kind of mode. And then on Friday, let's say we win Thursday in the state tournament Friday, we would try to practice at 11:00 with a short turnaround, so we're kind of prepared for that. So that's the only thing we would really do. That's kind of what we've done in the past. And I don't know that it makes a whole lot of difference at this point. Again, you just have to be able to handle the emotion of the moment. I mean, you can't see whether it's daylight or dark when you're playing. one of those things.
Well, I mean, God willing, you're able to go the rest of the way. You'll have, those long bus rides back to Northmont and then down to Dayton.
Yeah, we don't get to stay overnight anymore.
Well, I mean, is that different? Because, I mean, there's something to be said about sleeping in your own bed.
I think it's two things. I think it's beneficial. You come home, you sleep in your own bed, you have your own meals, but you also miss that experience of being together with your team in the Final Four. I think there's good points and bad points about each side of it, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
Well, hopefully you get that opportunity coming up.
I hope so too. These girls deserve it, and they've earned it. They've worked hard.
I have enjoyed having this conversation. I wish you guys the best of luck this weekend and going forward.
Oh, thank you. Anytime you need anything, you just let me know. I'll be happy to talk to you.
That's Fort Loramie's head coach, John Rodgers. We're back with more here in just a couple of minutes.
Are you in Spencerville and looking for a place to eat before the Bearcats play? Well then, head to my place, 128 North Broadway, for deep fried mushrooms, chili cheese fries, the best pie around, and soup of the day. If you're in a hurry and just want to order some to go, you can give Doug and his staff a call at 419-647-4062, and they'll have it ready for you. My Place Restaurant at 128 North Broadway in Spencerville, a proud supporter of Bearcat Athletics.
And still one of my favorite places to eat whenever I get a chance to go home. Had that happen on Sunday. Got a chance to go and take my daughter to trick-or-treat and show off her little ducky outfit. It did not rain. It was almost 70 degrees. And it was the strangest Halloween I think I've ever had in 40 years just because of the temperature. But thank God for that temperature. She got some candy, which means I got some candy. And that was pretty much that. She had one lap around half of the parade and a couple of houses, and she was pretty much done. But so cool. I love Halloween. That's my favorite time of year. Big thanks to Coach Rodgers and Coach Flue for talking about their programs, and I hope that you enjoyed getting to see kind of the outside from some folks that don't normally get enough coverage. And that, again, as always, is the guys of this show. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. If you've got somebody you'd like to hear their story, please hit me up on Twitter. At Michael Hearn PvP, mhearn3@gmail.com, or wherever. I'm a pretty easy guy to find. High school football, cross country, and volleyball taking center stage this weekend. But don't forget about soccer. A lot of big games coming up this weekend. Have a great night and an even better tomorrow wherever you may be. And thank you for listening to Around the Hearn.
We hope you've enjoyed this edition of Around the Hearn. Come back next week for more local stories from the NWO. But until then, be sure to follow us on Twitter at Michael Hearn PBP for more great area content.